One of the rarest animals on the planet is under attack.
It's a fight. It's a real big fight.
An unknown predator is targeting the Grevy zebras.
Oh, these are some of the bites.
The fight to save the species is on. But is it too late?
You need to act sooner rather than leaving it to the point where it's so late that you can't recover the species.
The battle stretches north to the edge of the desert,
Here comes a sandstorm.
where the zebras face their biggest threat:
There's only one place to get water.
humans.
It's just a highway for cattle.
The Grevy zebra is the largest wild member of the equid family. That includes zebras and horses. And unlike the more common plain zebra, these beautiful animals are on the endangered list. The Grevies once roamed over an area of Africa that ranged from central Eritrea to Ethiopia and Somalia. But now the few thousand individuals remaining are concentrated in southern Ethiopia and northern Kenya. In Kenya, the protection of endangered species is taken very seriously. The government partners with wildlife conservancies like Lewa and its sister facility, Ol Pejeta, to protect those at risk. This is a critical time for many species. Increasing demands of human populations is causing a rapid loss of habitat and resources. And there is a more sinister problem. Organized illegal poaching syndicates are hunting species to the point of extinction. Illegal poaching has already driven the western black rhino out of existence. And other species are just hanging on. This is the northern white rhino. It is the rarest species on Earth. There are only 5 animals left, 2 in zoos and 3 at Kenya's Ol Pejeta Conservancy.
In front of us, we have Sudan. Sudan is 42 years old, and Sudan is the only male remaining in the whole world.
The reason the northern white rhino in particular has gone extinct in the wild is because it tended to exist in those areas of Africa which are poorly policed and have been subject to civil war. Furthermore, those are areas where tourism has never been important. And so there's never been a kind of economic incentive to try to look after those species.
At the turn of the 20th century, there were hundreds of thousands of northern white rhino. But sport hunters took their numbers down considerably. When sport hunting ended, rampant and ruthless poaching for rhino horn took over.
Rhinos are being killed by poachers because of their horns. At the time back, there was a civil war, so people took an advantage of killing most of them.
In the case of the northern white rhino, that slaughter was so complete that only a single population survived in Garamba National Park in the Congo.
We tried to remove 10 animals from the Garamba National Park in the Democratic Republic of the Congo 10 years ago. And, you know, that was stopped for whatever reason. But the bottom line is that as a result of it being stopped, the number of animals remaining became so low that now to recover that species is almost impossible.
With Congo embroiled in a violent civil war, the only safe place for the northern white rhinos was in zoos. By the early 2000s, there were only 8 left in the world, all in captivity. In 2009, an international coalition moved 4 from a zoo in the Czech Republic to Kenya's Ol Pejeta Conservancy. The plan was to reintroduce them to the wild. The hope was that the rhinos would do what they wouldn't in the zoo: breed.
The idea was to bring them into a more natural environment in the hope that that would lead to their breeding.
You know, there was a lot of hype, a lot of publicity about them coming out, what their future was.
There have been repeated matings, but unfortunately, no successful pregnancy.
To make matters worse, one of the 2 males at Ol Pejeta died of natural causes.
There is now only 1 male left in the world. All the other males have died.
That male is Sudan. He is now 42, and with a life expectancy of 50, the hopes for the northern white rhino are fading.
Yeah, you need to act sooner rather than leaving it to the point where it's so late that you can't recover the species. And that's exactly what's happened with the northern white rhinos. But the bottom line is, what is happening to the northern white rhinos is a signal to what is happening to our stewardship of the planet from an environmental perspective. There are many, many species now which are going extinct at a rapid rate. And that's all to do with human overexploitation and poor management of the environment.
Right now, 1 in 4 mammals, 1 in 8 birds, and 1/3 of all amphibians are endangered. The question now is, with all of humans' capabilities and technology, do we have the ability to save a species from the brink of extinction? Can lessons from the northern white rhino be applied to other species facing the same fate? To the north of Ol Pejeta is Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, home to one of the most overlooked endangered species, the Grevy zebra. The Grevy is the majestic cousin to the more common plains zebra. The species has specifically adapted to the dry, arid conditions of northern Kenya. In just 20 years, 50% of the species has been wiped out. The major reason, human competition for land and water. They currently number between 1,300 and 3,000. The most significant population is at Lewa.
Lewa itself holds about 10 to 13% of the remaining population of wild Grevy zebra left alive. So it's a very important population in terms of a seed population, a nucleus population, and a significant part of what's left.
Lewa is a protected conservancy with a range of species, including some of Africa's iconic predators. But having those species in a relatively small space can lead to problems. The Conservancy opened a protective fence to give the animals more room to roam. But it is unknown if the zebra have moved into their new home. So to find out, the team are about to carry out an aerial census of the new territory.
So we're blanketing the landscape, including some community conservancies to the north and another wildlife conservancy, Rhino Wildlife Conservancy, to the west. These are apparently rated to
To do this, they will fly a transect pattern back and forth across the landscape.
And so he lines up his eye with this streamer and he knows that that's the limit of his count. And we're getting what's called a minimum total count.
They fly transect after transect. But they find only plain zebra, the more common variety. Dejected, the team heads back to Lewa.
We didn't actually see any grevies, but a lot of plain zebras. Yeah. So what that means is where they've dropped the fence now between the two properties, it's still not being used as a thoroughfare for grevies.
The Lewa Conservancy has an important population of Grevy zebra. This largest wild member of the horse family is on the endangered list. In the last 40 years, the population has dropped over 80%. The well-armed ranger team at Lewa is working to protect the species in the hopes that it will rebuild its numbers. But in the last few months, rangers have been finding a concerning number of dead grevies. The research department's Ian Lamayan is heading out to investigate a grevy that has been killed in what seems like unusual circumstances.
Yeah.
The animal had died in shallow water. The cause of death is not immediately apparent. It looks like the animal was attacked by a predator and then sought refuge in the water. But to know for sure, they need to take a closer look at the carcass.
We are trying to get this grevy out of the water.
Lewa has all of Africa's top predators, including hyenas, cheetahs, and lions. But in this particular case, hyena can be ruled out because they'll go right into the water to feed. Whatever killed this zebra stopped at the shoreline.
It's sad that we are losing them like this, but predators also have to survive. So it's just nature. This was one male that was treated before. These are some of the bites. He'd been attacked by a lion before, and unfortunately this time they got him. He'd been worked on before by a vet. The blue stuff is alamycin. You use it as an antibiotic. Yeah, if it was a plains zebra, it would be a little bit easier because there are very many in number compared to the grevies. The grevies, we're trying to see them grow. It's a fight. It's a real big fight. Yeah, let's wrap this up. Santi bana, kazi mzuri.
Ian has his answers, and so the dead zebra is left to fulfill one last role in this environment. It's left for the scavengers. He believes that lions are taking down the grevies, and this is a dilemma for the conservationists at Lewa. Lions are also a threatened species in Kenya. So how does the Conservancy manage needs of one species over another? Before any decision can be made, Ian needs to know more about who's doing the killing. To monitor lion prides, females in each of the prides have GPS collars that track their movements. Ian is hoping that the data will help them confirm whether the lions are behind this rash of Grevy's killings.
It is important to take a look at what they're eating and also see whether it's a problem.
When predators make a kill, they stay in one spot for a few days. These are called cluster points, and they can tell Ian a lot.
Here is an example of a lion going on this eastern side of the Conservancy. So the GPS directs us to exactly where that point is. So we put the coordinates of that, X marks the spot. Going to look at the locations that we're going to visit. It's going to be Sambara Mlimanugu area. I hope we find something.
By visiting the cluster points, they hope to find evidence of what Lewa's lions have been killing.
That's okay.
Even though he's out on a research mission, Ian takes backup.
We have to have an armed ranger with us so that we can be safe.
For staff working in the field, predators are their least concern. The bigger worry are prey species that are always alert to any perceived threat.
Be careful of buffaloes. Manibali walikuwa siku ile tukiwaonea pale.
Elephant, black rhino, and especially the Cape buffalo will attack with deadly force if they feel threatened by the people.
This is the first cluster point, and we're looking for any signs of a carcass or a kill. It's a kill site. It's a kill site. You can see maggots inside the zebra. This is definitely a zebra. We can't know which type of zebra it was because everything has been eaten up. We can't tell which type of zebra it is at the moment.
The maggots indicate this carcass is relatively fresh, 3 to 4 days old. The carcass is almost entirely consumed and has been scattered across a wide area.
But also you can see that
Ian finds further proof.
So this was a Grevy. Yeah.
A small fragment of Grevy's skin is all he needs.
So we're moving on to the next one.
Back at headquarters, Ian monitors lion movements to see if they match Grevy's kills. A pattern is beginning to emerge. Whoever is doing the killing has been targeting the Grevies. Although predators are often opportunists, some individuals like to specialize. The reason is often terrain or behavior of the prey species. Unlike the common zebra, Grevy's herds are dominated by a single male that control a territory and the females in it. The Grevy males often battle with each other for dominance. It's a lot of work that sometimes leaves them exhausted or preoccupied and vulnerable to predators. The cluster points all point to a specific part of the Conservancy, but the kill numbers are high for the small pride. Ian is looking for the pride's collared female. Her movements will give him the answers he needs. The electronic tracking collar is incredibly valuable. Lions can easily hide in these grasses.
We're just trying to find a lion. So she's very elusive. You need to look for footprints. You need to look for anything that has a golden glow on the grass because lions usually give that in the morning hours. Oh, if she's in the vicinity, we'll just hear a beeping sound. We're getting a signal. Oh, sawa.
Ian finds what he is looking for.
Awesome. We got him.
Things become clearer when they find the female. She is not killing for herself. She is feeding a growing pride. Ian has found the perpetrator behind the rash of Grevy's killings. The conservation of endangered species is challenging enough for wildlife stakeholders. But at Kenya's Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, they are contending with a complicated circumstance. One endangered species is targeting and killing another. A female lioness with cubs has been specializing in killing the rare and endangered Grevy zebra to feed her pride. Since lions are also an endangered species, the solution has to be considered carefully. They could relocate the lioness to a conservancy without Grevy zebras. But the fact she has cubs makes that potentially too difficult. Also, they realize there is another problem.
She has a very tight collar.
The tight collar may be contributing to her hunting of Grevies. It may be that it's restricting her movements. Instead of roaming, she's staying in one place where the Grevies happen to be easy pickings.
We observed it. Through predator monitoring, we usually look at each individual, each lion, how they're doing. And if you see that the performance of the animal is not okay, then you must do something about it.
The GPS collar that researchers put on her 3 years ago to track her movements has become so tight that if she grows any more, the collar will strangle her to death. Now they have to sort this problem out. So, the Kenyan Wildlife Vet Unit is dispatched immediately.
We were with him in the morning.
To do the job, they'll have to dart her with a tranquilizer so they can safely work on her. That job will be done by veterinarian Bernard Rono.
If the cubs were younger, we would not dart it. But now the cubs are slightly bigger and they're in a group with another female, so the cubs will be taken care of.
The drug takes effect, the vet team drives off the pride so they can work on her in safety.
Wameenda wote? Melala huyu. Hana shida. Alale kabisa.
Alo?
The drug only immobilizes the lioness. She is fully conscious. The towel over her eyes is to minimize stress.
So you can just fit it.
The collar is still working well and providing vital information, so they just need to make it larger.
Kwa nini tusikate hii?
Yeah, sasa. Iko sawa. Okay. So we are just checking that the teeth are still okay. She can still hunt. They are still very sharp, not broken.
Bernard notices this female's stomach is large and slightly swollen.
She has a distended stomach. Just to be sure that she's not pregnant.
He concludes she is not pregnant, just full of Grevy.
The good thing is that she looks well fed and she's not hungry at all, so I think she's very okay. So I'll just give the antidote. So we have about 5 minutes before she wakes up.
As her cubs anxiously look on from a safe distance, the vet team will stay until the lioness is back up on her feet and they're sure she's okay. Now that they've loosened her collar, they hope that she will expand her range and go after other prey. But if she keeps targeting the zebras, some tough choices will have to be made in the future. Lewa's conservation work attracts researchers from around the world. Sarah Haisuu is an ecologist from the United States. She is doing microscopic and DNA analysis on the zebra droppings to see what it can tell her about the genetic diversity of Lewa's Grevy's population.
We drove out this morning to look for a herd of Grevies. We're looking to collect fecal samples. Yeah, what do you think? Right around here? That's number 2. Okay, so how about right here? Basically what we're doing is looking at how Grevies respond to their environment and how that interacts with genetic diversity to influence how healthy they are. The number of Grevies has declined by about 85% since the late 1970s, and the range has also contracted quite a bit. So the range used to spread across the entire Horn of Africa, and now they're only in an isolated portion of central and northern Kenya, also a few in Ethiopia. But with that decline, oftentimes you lose levels of genetic diversity, so we want to understand how that is influencing the population. This one's definitely baby. So sometimes you can tell how fresh it is by if it's still warm. So a bit disgusting, but you can touch it. And that should be enough sample to do, enough of the sample to do the analysis that we need.
As research at Lewa continues, the zebras beyond Lewa's border face even greater challenges. There is a simple, profound, and undeniable truth in conservation work. We are one of the greatest threats to wildlife species. In Kenya, where the Lewa Conservancy is based, the population doubles every 18 years. And so it's simple economics. The more people, the less space and resources there are for wildlife. It is a conundrum that conservationists have to factor into the decisions they make as they try to find practical solutions to saving species at risk. Conserving wildlife in Kenya is a collaborative effort. And in the battle to save the Grevy zebra, Lewa Conservancy works closely with the Northern Range Land Trust, the Grevy Zebra Trust, and Marwell Wildlife. Today, members of the NRT and Lewa are partnering with Marwell Wildlife on a Grevy's project. They're heading to Kenya's South Hor Valley to search out an isolated population of Grevy zebras. The goal? To attach radio tracking collars to several individuals to track their movements and better understand the pressures they face. The project is headed by Marwell's field biologist, Zeke Davidson. Zeke is a member of Kenya's National Grevy Zebra Steering Committee. He also specializes in issues of human-wildlife coexistence.
I'm very excited about what this information is going to mean to Grevy zebra conservation. These are incredibly important collars. They're going to tell us about a population that is unmonitored and has only been sort of anecdotally reported in the past. So we're hoping to reveal how they use the Hor Valley and which areas we need to focus on to keep this population as strong as it is and improving. Matthew is our point man.
Because the operation involves sedating and collaring animals, Lewa's head vet, Matthew Mutinda, will lead that part of the operation.
We can get a lot of water up there, but it's brackish. We're just taking bottled water for drinking. Yeah.
The team will endure several days of camping in a rather inhospitable place in near desert conditions.
That's our shower. I think I'll put it in my car. I've got 200 liters of aviation fuel on board in the trailer.
He's having a light plane fly out to meet them so he can do an aerial survey of the Grevy's range there.
I think our biggest challenge for this operation is going to be to find the animals in this terrain, even with an aircraft supporting us. The animals will move and shift through the bush a lot. Our biggest problem is going to be approaching these animals.
With such extreme temperatures and rough roads, getting there will be one of the biggest challenges.
The temperatures are high, there's a hot wind blowing every day, and it's a geothermic wind. It's a wind that's generated by the heat.
But as they arrive on the outskirts of this near desert, suddenly, a problem.
The shock mounting has snapped off.
One of the trucks breaks down, threatening the mission before it even begins. For Matthew, who is used to working on animals, this is a different beast entirely.
Okay, give me some oil. We should put some oil here.
You've got some brake here. When you push the pedal, there's nothing. We'll donate 20 cc's from every other vehicle's brake cylinder.
With a limited toolkit, Matthew has to improvise.
Thank goodness we had a vet at hand, eh? All these syringes.
Yes.
The goats are healthy and well, and they love this place. They can have it.
It could easily turn into a bad situation if they can't get this fixed.
That's the offending piece. And she's cracked right off the chassis, all the way down. So it's been broken for quite some time. Should be good.
With the expedition back on track, Zeke turns his attention back to the mission.
Grevy zebra are one of the few species left up here and surviving, still thriving in a sense. It's a population that surprises everyone living in such a harsh place. It's amazing that they're here.
Hor Valley is home to a remote community of Samburu, who, just like the Grevy zebra, have adapted themselves to thrive in this region. To navigate this landscape, they will need help from the local Samburu community. Central to the community is the one place where it's easy to access water. Zeke and Matthew start their mission here.
There's only one place to get water, both wildlife and people. Without the presence of this water hole in this region, then we would have no wildlife.
This is a perfect example of how human activity is threatening wildlife. On the edge of the desert, this watering hole is a shared resource. The Grevies and other wildlife have been pushed off by the Samburu and their cattle.
They can only come here at night, because during the day, this is what is happening.
This place has been stripped by hooves. There's not a blade of grass here. If you look back through here, it's just a highway for cattle.
While the Samburu respect wildlife, their cattle are the priority.
There is definitely conflict here. And that's why the Grevies have to drink at night.
This is a perfect example of the way human populations affect wildlife survival. In these conditions where water is a precious resource, the Samburu manage it carefully to make sure that they can feed their livestock. So making room for the zebras can be a tough sell.
The way that Grevy zebra herd and graze and drop their dung improves the soil condition, improves the graze, which improves his cattle condition. But that's a tenuous link to a guy who's struggling to find enough to feed his family. The community is filling one or two of these troughs at night for wildlife, for zebras. But what we need to try and do is make water security here a priority. We need to try and get some water set aside for wildlife. And that may mean some kind of intervention. It may mean putting in a well. It's just not enough water. That trough does not hold enough water for the number of zebra that come here every night to drink.
Despite the conflict, the Grevies have adapted well. They are able to modify their behavior to get the water when it's available, and they are equipped to make the most of the meager resources available to them.
Why are they in such good body condition when there's just absolutely nothing that's got any moisture in it at all? And part of the answer is here. These dry shrubs, I mean, you look at this, it's grey and really dry and brittle. But when you scratch off the surface, there's the green, and that's what they're eating. This is the dung of a youngster. Look how fine that is. And it's a really dense dung. It's got nothing left in it. They've used it well. And that's what's sustaining them. These guys, on a scale of 1 to 5, they've got a body condition of 4 at the end of the dry season. I mean, this is a good place for Grevy zebras.
This is really hard to make a living out of such a place. They really have to have some respect for that animal.
the quest to find the Grevies begins at first light.
That's a hard terrain for us.
This is a great time for walking. We're looking at the footprints, and as per now, they indicate that they are on that side. We now know these guys are on this side.
With local Samburu joining the crew, the day begins and the hunt for the Grevies is on. The mission is to put radio monitoring collars on 4 Grevies.
We put this on so we know where the animal is in its environment, and that lets us know what habitats it's using, what resources are important to it. It's mounted on this webbing collar, which will in fact deteriorate and eventually drop off by itself. And it's just full of batteries with about a 3 to 5 year lifespan.
Matthew prepares his first tranquilizer dose.
We have a huge challenge that these Grevies are very, very sharp.
We're really challenged here to find these animals in this terrain. If you look into this bush, you'll see that it's just an impenetrable wall of thickets. It's literally needle in a haystack. What we've got to do is maximize our chances by going to open areas.
Yeah, like that is 52, but still we can get a shot there. You try to box them kati-kati. We need to have at least a distance of 50 meters for us to be able to get a shot. Sijui, unaweka ndume? They are too clever. They just went the opposite way.
The Grevies, in fact, have good reason to want to avoid people, especially people with guns.
The guys around here, especially the Turkana side, they eat Grevies and they're armed with guns. So Grevies might actually know what a gun is. That gun can kill.
With these animals refusing to cooperate, the crew makes the difficult decision to try to find another group.
So I think one of the best things we can do is go to one of these little hills.
We'll go to the road and head for a hill high ground.
Just scanning these plains, and I picked up a group of 5 zebras just beyond this open area. And they were moving in towards this dry riverbed that runs away from us.
Spotting Grevies from the hill is encouraging, but of little value for actually catching up with the animals.
This is when we need an airplane. Right now.
The view from the air reinforces just how desolate this area really is. They can see for hundreds of miles, but there is very little to report.
Because if this side is full of people, they might just go for the other one.
Kuna mtu akona GPS hapo? Do we have any other zebras in the area?
Finally, they spot a herd.
Okay, we have the zebra visual and we have the vehicle visual.
Roger, that's good.
But as it turns out, the herd they see from the air is the same one they've already been chasing.
Do we have any other zebras in the area?
At the moment, we cannot see any others, just the 7 that you have in front of you.
The pilot sets the plane down just in time for a windstorm.
We've got 20 to 30 knot winds, and on the ground that means a lot of dust. The whole horizon is getting a bit hazy with the dust, and there's also the heat. Not far away from here I can actually see the capture vehicle moving through the bush just behind a group of Grevy zebra, which he's been dogging all day trying to get up to. So we're heading into a period of the day where darting is going to become more risky. We'll probably try not to put any animals at risk.
It's really tough. It's very tough. We chose a tough group and we pay for it.
So what we'll do now is we'll probably go back to base and wait out the heat of the day. Hopefully the winds will drop this evening and we can try again. Here comes a sandstorm. teeth. Miserable living conditions. Crazy.
Yes, we'll come to the hatchery.
The wind has died down, but Matthew shuts the operation down for the time being.
It's a very hot day, and it's very hot environment. So sometimes if the temperature goes beyond a certain point, it's of harm to the animal.
One Samburu will keep tabs on the herd so they can try again later. But so far, this mission hasn't even gotten off the ground. In the Hor Valley in northern Kenya, a team of researchers are on the trail of the rare Grevy zebra. It's later in the day, and they are making another attempt at attaching a tracking collar.
We just picked up one of the scouts who has been monitoring the movement of the zebras. This makes it really great for us so that we can find our target easily.
Sure enough, it doesn't take long to get back onto the trail.
Fresh yesterday. What gives me hope ni kuwa hii wanyama iko mahali. So we're trying to look for signs. Yeah. So we have found poo and we have found footprints.
Matthew and the crew track the animals down. Now it's a matter of getting close enough to the skittish animals to dart one of them.
It's really difficult. It's really difficult. The zebras are here, we are here, the collar is here, but they won't stop.
The uncooperative animals continue to frustrate Matthew and the team. It's day 3 of their time in Kenya's South Hor Valley, and they have yet to collar a single animal. They're on the trail of yet another group. This time, Matthew is determined not to let them get away. He decides to attempt a long shot.
I try to measure because I know what the gun does. Okay. Yeah, we have had a successful hit. Okay, maji hiyo 20 liter.
In this heat, watering the animal down is priority 1.
The temperature is really hot, so you have to be really monitored. Sawa. There you go.
With the first Grevy collar finally in place, Matthew collects a blood sample. They check the fitness of the zebra thoroughly. The collar will be active for 5 years, so they want to make sure that they've picked a healthy candidate.
Okay. Achilia kidogo. Achilia sumbiri. Achilia.
The antidote administered, the animal should wake up within seconds. With one animal collared, the crew's mission is back on track. But the task has proved more difficult than planned.
$73.
a frustrating late-day miss, and now the animals will be even more spooked.
So, yeah, the animal is far, so that went under the animal. Wow, we're gonna try again, Martin. We think we have a chance.
Time is running out. Once the sun hits horizon, this mission will be over. They need to place one more collar to ensure that they get enough data.
Okay. Let me try one more. Very kidogo.
Will he make the impossible shot? Or will it be the final defeat for this ambitious project?
Some 5-8 minutes, we should be able to see some sun.
The crew is elated, but now it's crunch time. If the zebra escapes in darkness, they will never find him. Time is of the essence.
Sawa, kuna kisu. Sawa.
These are small steps in a much larger battle. The Grevy zebra population has declined more than 50% in less than 20 years.
Yeah, that's very critical.
The Grevy is a beautiful animal. Each one is unique. The stripes on their rump are as individual as human fingerprints. And now, conscious effort is needed to make sure those are not erased forever.
Well, we gave it our best shot, and we got 2 zebras. You're going to have to be happy with that for now.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Zig.
Okay.
Yes,
George.
yes. That's a tough mission.
Thanks,
But I'm
guys.
lucky we got to. Okay. Thank you.
It is human activity that poses the greatest threat to their survival. And now it seems that conscious human protection is the only thing that can save them.
Hey Love Nature fans, be sure to like and subscribe to catch all our wild animal stories. Get closer to nature right here on YouTube.